Hello, friends. Host and sportscaster Eric here. Talking this morning about MBTI Channel Madness, March Madness tournament that pits your favorite YouTube typology channels against one another. An all-out war. 32 enter the fray. One leaves victorious only. That's the official topic today. I'm pretty excited about the tournament. I'm really excited that already the Boom Shaka versus Zero Entropy matchup has already 19 votes. I'm really stoked about that. And Boom Shaka's winning right now. If you're a Zero Entropy fan, you better get in there and vote for him because Boom Shaka's up. And not looking like it's going to be an upset, you know. Well, you go to, let me put that link right here. You go to the community tab of the channel. You go to Talking with Fan People, the channel, and then you go to the community tab. It's next to, let me look at it right now. It's next to playlists. It's between playlists and channels in the tabs at the top. Anyway, when you click that community tab, now there's 20 votes. Oh, Zero Entropy is closing the gap. Interesting. So now when you go to that community tab, it's like a blog nowadays. Thank you, Jojo Shabadoo. Good morning to you as well. It is the reason I'm wearing this is because it is cold as a witch's tit, as my mother used to say. It was 35 degrees when I was just out a second ago to get cigarettes. I've got gloves on. I'm in the garage, sitting by the heater. I've got underpants on, like long underpants. I've got regular jeans on over that. I've got lots of things on top too, and I still have to put this jacket over my legs, or my legs get cold, even though I got two pairs of pants on. Okay, well, yes, which tits are the coldest of all tits? That's how you can. One of the tests to see if a woman is a witch is you get a thermometer and you place it under her nipple, between her nipple and her areola, and you just leave it there for 2 minutes. And if it doesn't get above 50 degrees, you know she's a witch. It's a surefire test. Okay. That makes them distinct from non-witches whose breasts tend to be over 50 degrees. Okay, so I see we stayed on topic right off the bat. Witches are so cold you can feel them from a normal distance. Yeah, you can feel the cold emanating off of them like a brick of dry ice. They're colder than dry ice, actually. They're as cold as liquid nitrogen. You really don't want to dip your banana in one of those, or else it'll freeze and you can crack it into pieces. That's why witch children usually die of hypothermia. The milk is so goddamn cold. It's like, how is this not frozen? It kind of comes out as a slush. It's like a breast milk slushy. So anyway, witches' tits obviously are a matter of concern for us all. Nobody wants to get up under a girl's shirt and go like, I've got frostbite. It's a real risk. CJ Smothers, tough draw in the tournament. Tough draw. But, hey, I'm thinking with a small program like yours, you're probably pretty happy to have made the tournament. LJ, I didn't put you in the tournament. Why not? I don't know. I just kind of threw it together all of a sudden. First 32 channels like it's negative. If you are the female, that's how you test it. I see. Thanks for the lesson on the birds and the bees there. Just think about it. Appreciate that. I need those lessons. So wait. These aren't your boobs? Those are my shoulder blades. Okay. That's why it crossed my mind to include you, but based on your response to the last time I made a video about you, I decided not to. That's the truth of the matter. So, but I didn't want to make you feel like I was coddling you or something, so I don't want to tell you that. Anyhow, I'm sure you would have done fine in the tournament, LJ. But regardless, it's not a tournament that people can voluntarily participate in. It's an involuntary tournament. But look, I mean, I'm really interested to see like how CS Joseph does, how DSP does, and stuff. The fact that I don't have any say in it all, I don't even get a single vote I've determined because it doesn't let you vote on your own polls. So I have no say at all in it. It's interesting in that regard as a spectator. I want to see what the viewers say. My only way of influencing the thing is by trying to sell it one way or the other in the video. Like, I think this one's better, or I might be convincing, but I suspect most people will immediately discount whatever it is I say and make their own calculus entirely independent of what I said, although it might be influenced by someone. So that's a possibility too. I think probably most people will just vote on what they see in the video that I show, but some people might actually go check out those channels and do a little research themselves, and they're certainly obviously entitled and welcome to do that. I would get to listen to you at work. This is different, lol. So it's different today that you do get to listen to me at work, or it's different that normally you listen to me at work, but today you don't have to work? Is this a holiday day? Is this a president? It is a president day, isn't it? I think it's Lincoln. Could be Washington. I always get them mixed up. Who knows which president's birthday comes first? Is it Lincoln or Washington? Which state officially is the land of Lincoln? Who knows the answer to that question? It's a trivia question game today. You thought you were coming here for typology, but instead I'm giving you license plate trivia questions. Where is the land of Lincoln? Today is my kid's birthday. He's 7, and that is bananas. I think he probably didn't mean to put the I there. Yeah, they grow up fast. They really grow up fast. My kid's 20 years old now, and, she's basically an adult. Like, before I go get cigarettes this morning, I had to wait for her to move her car, but I knew she was leaving for work early, and by 6 a.m. she was already gone to work, so I was able to take my car out. That's called an adult. I think she left maybe as early as 4:30. She works at this makeup store called Ulta, and they sometimes have her go in there like 4:30 in the morning to do opening boxes and putting it into front shelves. It seems fast, but really it's just as slow as everything else. What is? Are you saying that your child growing up is just as slow as everything else? It's not true that everything moves at the same speed. Just think about it. You and I are going to argue again. You keep wanting all this specificity about like what I want to talk to you about and stuff. Look, you like to come in and negate shit all the time, right? Like, Eric, you're wrong about this, you're wrong about that, you're wrong about this. Well, then when I say, well, no, blah, 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 you go, well, this isn't a good forum to debate in because it's not fair So all I'm just saying is I'm not trying to debate you. I'm just saying if you want to have a conversation and you can make all your points and I can talk and we can talk back and forth to each other so that you don't feel at some sort of communicative disadvantage or so that you don't feel like you're getting out all of your warrants or something, well, then let's have that conversation. CJ Smothers finally caught up. Apparently my internet service Finally caught up. Apparently, my internet can't keep up with me at 60 miles per hour. 60 miles per hour doesn't really fit into your rap, CJ Smothers. I love Alta. I used to sling makeup at that age, too. Prior to Alta, she worked at Starbucks. She quit on good terms. She was like, she left after, I don't know, 6 months or so. She was tired of it. She'll probably do the same thing with Alta after a while. She's an action type. You did, CJ Smothers? Oh, I'm so excited to watch it. I wonder if you're happy or sad about being selected. It starts with this motherfucker named Host Eric. I mean, I wouldn't like LJ is saying she's glad she wasn't included. So I mean, I am aware that some people will be like, I don't want to do it. I mean, I don't think I necessarily fare particularly well under the scoring rubric that I put up there. You know, I don't think I score well in the overall. Yeah, oh yeah, you are. Yeah, trust me, LJ. I no disrespect meant at all. You approach things from an angle that I'm not used to people approaching things from in general. I don't deal with a lot of people like you, so I'm on effy shaky ground or something. I don't know. Cool. I'm glad, CJ Smothers. Okay, I will try to pick your most flattering. In general, I do try to pick pictures that not necessarily are flattering, but that are striking, like eyes open or like that, or like, you know, something that stands out, you know. So yeah, but if I try, if sometimes, because Kimberly and I will go, she'll be sitting here sometimes, and if she's sitting here, I'll go this one, until she says which one to pick. But if she's not sitting here, yeah, I do always. If she's here, I don't decide which picture to pick, but I give her some options, and you know, sometimes we'll see a really funny one, and she'll go like, no, you can't use that one. So, but it's like, if she's not sitting there, then I just do it myself. I'm not gonna wait and do it later. That's the thing. It's the same thing with wanting to make videos with people. I was trying all fucking night. Well, not all night, but first I made those things, like the bracket, and then I had a unexpected middle of the night pay typing where the guy's like, I want to get typed right now. I can pay you right now. I'm like, all right, let's go. It was interesting, really interesting. ENTJ. And then after that, I looked for people on Facebook to make a video with, to start the first round with, you know. And I couldn't find anybody, so I had to do it by myself. So if any of you guys want to make a video, one of these videos with me, because there's going to be like a lot of them, right? Let's see, there's 16 games in the first round. There's 8 in the second. There's 4 in the third. That right there is 12 plus 16 is 28. And then there's 2, that's 30. And there's 31 games. So 31 videos. My heart's broken into a zillion pieces. Eyes glued to Facebook, and here you're just chilling like pizza delivery. Come early, and life's filled with butterflies and roses. Listen, I'm Batman. You suck. This live stream is not gonna stretch on forever. This is gonna be about an hour probably, because I gotta go after that to get my mom from my dad's house, and so. But I am going to have a little time between the end of this and going to my parents' house. And if you still want to do it in about an hour, you and I will do it right then. Okay. So I'll go on Facebook as soon as I finish the live stream and try to set that up. If you're still around, we'll do it. Just think about it. Then arguments aren't necessarily aggravating by default, that they usually are, and that what I normally think of when I think of the term argue, or arguing. Oh, okay. Well, when I'm talking about arguments, I'm just saying, like, that right there, you're saying is an argument. We aren't necessarily arguing, but you're making an argument. Yeah, they're not necessarily aggravating by default. So like arguments are not anything in terms of an emotional engagement or something. They're just claims within a given frame, and you can do with them what you want to do with them. Maybe I should do a body painting episode, then at least win by shock factor. I guess it would depend whose body you paint. If you were to paint, say, Bill Murray's body, that would probably engender a little bit of buzz. Discussions versus arguments. I mean, I think discussions can be adversarial in sections of them and still remain discussions. I think they need to be, but that's because I have a TI tool user. I'm a TI tool user. So it's going to be like, okay, this discussion requires both of us to negate things that are wrong and affirm things that are right. It's going to be a dialectical talk rather than a rhetorical one. But that doesn't mean there's never going to be any clash. If there's not any clash, there's no progress argumentationally. Clash being spots where two arguments run afoul of each other and have to be resolved. Aloe the Gamer 05. Hi. Hi, Aloe the Gamer 05. Oh, would you like more of a follow-up than that? Hi. Oh, tricky. You went backwards and upside down, or right side up. I'm not sure. Is that a new cognitive function? Introverted healing? That's what I call my sensual love, baby. Introverted healing. I heal you from the inside out. With my finger spinning in a circle like this. That's how people get things done in the world. Okay, well, so going into these upcoming March Madness battles, I will, as I said, be looking for people. So if you want to do this, go add me as a friend on Facebook. My name's Eric Strauss. My city is probably still Temple City. I don't think I ever changed it from Temple City, but it might be Laverne now. And if you find me, that means you find, I think, and then just send me a message and I'll message you back or whatever. And we'll make a video. I'm often looking for people to make videos with. If you live in Europe or something, I'm often trying to find people to make videos with at odd times. So you're not necessarily going to run afoul of my schedule. LJ says discussions are when both people are both contributing and allowing for reciprocation. Argument doesn't respect the contribution coming from the other person. Well, it's a little bit more complicated than that, I think. Like, if I agree that there's a lack of respect, if there's a lack of respect of one or more parties' statements in a conversation, then you're going to have some kind of argument going on. But I don't think that that's what makes something an argument necessarily. An argument is a point in dispute that's not being resolved. If you want to talk about it in some sort of negative sense, it's like we haven't resolved this point in dispute, so we continue to battle about it. And sometimes those discussions get contentious but end up resolving things, or sometimes they remain calm but don't resolve anything. I prefer a discussion be contentious and resolve things. Hey, Eric, have you ever heard of site MBTI database.com where you can vote which type famous people fictional characters are? Nope, never heard of it. They have an app too. Who does? Anal Records Anonymous? You can have a discussion and not respect the other party side or argument. Yeah, I mean, the respect question is a tricky one, because I might say I'm respecting your argument by telling you what's wrong with it. That if I didn't respect you, I wouldn't tell you what's wrong with your argument. I would just let you be wrong. I might make that argument. Somebody else might say, well, I respect you in your argument by not disagreeing with it, by recognizing that it's your opinion and everyone's opinion's equal, blah, blah, blah. That's a totally different understanding of respect. So the respect question is a tricky one. I think it's better to say you're having a discussion when you're having a meaningful, productive, communicative act when you're trying to reach resolution rather than victory. And those are two distinct things to seek in a communication. It's like it's very different whether you're seeking to win the argument or whether you're seeking to resolve the point of dispute. You can argue to resolve, though. I think arguing defines the emotional state in which both sides are contributing. It's about respecting the context and information being shared. That's the discussion. Well, it's about, I'd say, another way of possibly saying what you're saying here is it's good faith. If I'm entering into a discussion with you in good faith, I'm entering in with some withheld belief. I'm not entering in certain that I'm right about everything. I'm entering in ready to concede areas where I'm wrong under the idea of reciprocal burdens. If I want the other person to concede where they're wrong, I'm going to have to concede where I'm wrong. So if you're going into a conversation with that sort of good faith bargaining, then it's a discussion, even if it gets heated. But if you are going in with bad faith, that means you're just trying to win. You're not actually trying to resolve anything. You're just trying to beat up your significant other, for example. Sometimes Kimberly and I fight, and 90% of what we're doing is FE, poking each other with sharpened FE sticks. And other times we fight, and we're really trying to talk to each other. It may not be easy or smooth or successful, but it's still different than when we're just trying to push each other's buttons or make us feel bad or whatever. So I get some kind of response. I missed it because my internet treating me as badly as the rest of the world says. This guy's falling down. Also, I got rejected from a job application, so I'm getting this indeed there. Well, what I said in response to your previous thing, Batman, was if you're still good to go at the end of this live stream, which will be at about 1 hour, I'm going to basically have this planned to be about 1 hour because of my schedule today. I'll have time before I go deal with my mom to make the second MBTI madness video. And if you'd like to do it then, if you're still around and still want to do that in about 45 minutes or 40 minutes or so, then we can do it right then. Okay. And if you've already added me on Facebook, then I will look for it. Are you under a different name on Facebook? A lot of people do that, and I have no idea who. Like, oh, you mean I'm Batman, you suck is Jimmy Smithson. Oh, okay, well, so make sure you send me a message and say, I'm Batman, you suck. I'm not Jimmy Smithson or whatever. You're not Jimmy Smithson. I actually don't know any Jimmy Smithsons. I'm just saying, like, people have their name here. Like, for example, I talked to Between Two Worlds the other night on Facebook. I actually talked to her on Peer.in. And just chatted with her for a bit. But I had no idea that the person her name was on Facebook was the same as the person whose name here is Between Two Worlds. There's no indication they were the same, except once she told me, I realized she had the same flower on her Facebook picture she does in her circle here. So, same kind of flower. That's the only way I would have noted. Yeah, Jimmy. Oh, Jim Smithson. Jimmy John Smithson is his name. Yeah, that would be. You'd have to pronounce it Batman. I'm Batman. My name's Rhubarb Batman. I haven't checked my email today at all, or yesterday either. Yesterday I was all day. I checked it a little bit yesterday, like just for one particular email I had to deal with. But I haven't checked it all today because it's still, what day is it? It's Monday. I haven't gone to sleep yet. Yeah, it started. The first game's already been played. The results aren't in yet until the poll is been open for, I don't know exactly how. I don't think you can close these polls. I did send you a text when you asked if I was your Facebook friend. You sent me a text on my phone. Okay. Well, I don't know. It's easier to do it from Facebook because it's all on one computer instead of me having to go on my phone. My low FI has already gotten me kicked from so many communities. I'm trying to make a good impression. Oh, really? You must have been in very aquatic regions where the creatures who lived in those communities enjoyed a great deal of dampness, moistness, saline, salty moisture, and lovely moistness with damp, dewy dew. Rinlin. Hey, Eric, is there a specific cognitive function that is linked to memory and muscle memory? Let me come back to that question in a second. Host Eric finna be the Michael Jordan of MBTI. Thanks. Thanks a lot. I finna be that. But not the basketball player, Michael Jordan. The other guy. Geez, specifics. I crossed their borders. Well, obviously they needed to build a big wall with razor wire. It's pretty hard to cross my borders. It's possible. I do boot people occasionally or do something equivalent if they're just, but I mean, they have to be trolling very unimaginatively. If you are crossing borders in a way that's interesting, well, it's not necessarily transgressive then. I try to view everything as not being conditional. Conditional being contingent upon everything within a subject. If you disagree, maybe this can be what we talk about during the conversation. So you, as not being conditional or conditional? A conditional being contingent upon everything within a subject. I mean, we don't have to disagree on a central thesis to begin a conversation. I'm not sure where you're going with that. How long do you go on average without sleep? How long do you sleep when you finally get there? I mostly sleep every night. I didn't sleep last night, but it's an exception, not the rule. Usually I sleep a good 7-8 hours, maybe longer. When I don't sleep, like I didn't last night, or if I just got like 3 or 4 hours, then I will catch up usually the next night or at the end of a cycle. If it's an on cycle, then I'll okay, just think about it. It doesn't, it's no skin off my back either way. I am not trying to get you to come make a video with me. I'm saying if you'd like to talk to me about these things, you're welcome to. I'm willing to talk to you about them. And on a President's Day, do you got a favorite president? Well, I would have to say Polk. James K. Polk. Excellent president. One-termer. I like the one-term thing. Got a lot done. Helped the country. Was balanced between pragmatism and values. I mean, if I got as much done as James K. Polk as president, I'd feel proud of myself. As much good stuff done. I mean, it's easy to do a bunch of bad stuff. Regarding the memory thing, people are going to think it's SI. It occurs to me, I was thinking about it today, SI is not exactly memory. Like, SI is a referencing back again and again to existing knowledges. And that is naturally going to be the case that by paying more attention to things in the past, your memory is probably going to be more practiced and maybe have a better memory than somebody who doesn't think that way. But the memory aspect of it is almost incidental. It's like the process of it is attentional. It's saying I'm paying attention to these past things again and again and again. The same thing. It's repetitive. So in that regard, I wouldn't say that it's actually a cognitive function that links directly to memory per se, as it links so much as it does attend to memory. Like the memory exists independent of the function in some sense. Okay. Yeah, I do nowadays, LJ. I didn't used to. There was a stretch of a couple of years there at least when I really didn't get enough sleep, and it takes a toll on you. I think of all the things that are important that people neglect, sleep is at the top of the list. Like a lot of people don't get enough sleep. Even people who are not on any sort of drugs don't get enough sleep, and it catches up with you. The great thing and the weird thing about the awesome human physiology is that you can, in fact, catch up on sleep. And you will, in fact, catch up on sleep unless you are just really forcing yourself to not, Like, I always liked Lyndon Johnson's first name, the first part, not the last. Important distinction. I think you misspelled it, but still, I get your point. My favorite executive branch name, who can guess? It's pretty obvious. My favorite executive branch name. LJ thinks memory is more connected to SE being present in the first place to be able to fully take in the situation. Well, that's high resolution memory. There are two kinds of remembering things. Low resolution memory, which remembers the symbols of a thing or the language about it, and high resolution, which remembers the actuality of the thing. So, I mean, sure, SE could be correlated with working memory in the sense that as you're completing a task, as I need to be able to remember what I'm doing in sort of a RAM function to go like this. And not get distracted midway and forget what I'm doing and then just, what is this thing in my mouth for? What is this for? So you got some RAM-like aspects. But I would say that no, memory exists, as does pattern collapsing, as does ideation, and exists in some sense independent of the attention. And it's the habitual paying attention to those things in certain prioritization patterns that creates cognitive function stack. Although I know that's a hard argument to sustain. Well, what do you mean they exist outside of the application of them? But it just seems that way to me. I think memory is more connected. I read that. Have you heard of the idea that when you sleep, you're charging the matrix's batteries? I'm actually charging the matrix's credit card. They don't know. Don't tell them. Shh. It kind of sounds like you're saying SI is a bad function. It only makes people stuck on details or building their perception from it or didn't understand. I am not criticizing SI. It's a way of constructing a well-understood self that keeps track of what it's done and what its resources are and what it has planned and is satisfied in ways that are hard for me to attain. The only reason it sounds like I'm dissing it in some regard is because you're an intuitive and you think it sounds horrible to not being intuitive. Sensors who are happy with themselves don't feel any need to be intuitive to feel smart or be accomplished or capable or fully realized. And there's more than a kernel of truth in Rick Benson's assessment, which I'll call him over right now to get him to give. Hey, Rick, can you come here and give us the assessment? Yeah. Okay. Hey, listen, you intuitards, I want to explain something. If you know how to do shit right, what you do is you go out and you do it. And if you don't, You sit around and talk about it forever, and none of you leave your fucking house. So, suck on that into a tart. I'm going to get laid. I mean, there's more than a kernel of truth to what Rick says, you know, but there's equally a kernel of truth to our own dismissal of Rick's sort of Neanderthalish meaning dismissal. Yeah, that. I could be an ENFP since maybe like the NE interprets different FI identities. You could be an ENFP if you dream your imagination hard enough. You too could be an ENFP. I don't know. I don't know what you're like with your NE. If you are NE at all, I'm not sure. C.S. Joseph claims SE is connected to short-term memory and SI to long-term memory. Well, that's just nonsense. I think I'm going to score him low on accuracy. Eric, that makes sense. Good. I'm glad, Med Biscuit. I'm not sure what it is you're referring to, but I'm glad it made sense. Is olfactory memory linked to any particular function? The nose. The smelling function. Jojo Shabadoo. That's where you get your smells from. You suck them in through these two holes, right there and right there. You can also use those for cocaine or other white powders. Let's see. C.S. Joseph claims, yeah. Things that are wrong. Things that are never right. Total bullshit. Ding, ding, you got it. Let's see. I have a horrible regular memory, but then memories pop up when I need them, making connections. Like I have no control over them. Well, that's your unconscious tool function. 8th slot SI kicking in there, MJ. So bringing you a little bit of the old country SI know-how. So just enjoy it. It's good, like country time lemonade. I could be going through the motions all morning, but thinking about what I'm doing for something coming up in the future. I have no memory of doing anything I did that morning. It's called getting lost in your head, LJ. Everybody daydreams. The real question is, what do you daydream about? How would you define smart, Eric? More intelligent than dumb. How would I define smart? It's contextual, really. Smart at what? Smart from whose purpose and for what purpose? Eric, do you think when making a decision, you try to validate it with your first and 8th function? Like when I decided I know something, I use NI and SI, but I just can't go with the SI knowing alone. I mean, I'm not sure how it works with knowing function 1.8. I feel much more comfortable saying how it works with acting function 1.8. And my understanding of it is probably true for all of them, but definitely true for action, is the 8th serves the 1st. So I will unconscious tool functionally use my 8th slot function to make my NE keep going forward. In other words, if I don't get these ideas out and put down in a video or something, then I won't feel like I'm ready to make a new poop to come out, You got to empty your old poop out first. So it's like, for me, the SE is emptying out the old poop so that the NE can go again. It's only there for that purpose. So, for example, when I finished writing Gospel of the Pantheon, that took a lot of SE follow through. But what did I not do? I didn't send it to any publishers or try to get it published or send it to any agents or anything like that, because that didn't serve the ideation anymore. That served effectiveness or efficiency. Subconscious knowledge. Subconsciously, I know a lot more than I'm saying. But in my conscious awareness, I don't know a goddamn thing. How you going to deal with that, partner? That's what you should tell somebody when you walk up to them. See what they say. Did you feel disrespected? You got the 5 seed in this tournament? Who are you talking to? Jake Hurwitz. You talking to... I don't know. I actually meant to say subconscious knowledge, not memory. Cynthia O. In ideals in subconscious memories, subconscious knowledge. In ideals in, I guess you call it that. It's pattern recognition. You see all these disparate elements and they collapse down into a singular whole that it either is correct or not. And an example is you leave work and everyone's looking really worried and they're wringing their hands and looking at you. And you might conclude, oh no, I'm getting fired. That's your subconscious. Well, it's not really subconscious, it's background kind of understanding of how people's displays interrelate with other factors to suggest what's likely going on, right? But it could be wrong. It could be they're all looking at you worried because they saw a thing on the news about a woman who looked just like you and who had the same name as you, first name, and how she had terminal cancer, was going to die in 3 days, and they thought it was you. So that's why they're so worried. So you were wrong about your NI in that first instance. You're not getting fired. They think you're dying. One of those patterns, though, is right. So the second one is right. If you NI the second one, then it's right. So that's the thing about NI is it takes background information and collapses it into patterns like that. More often than not right, because it goes with the obvious thing. Obviously, if you're leaving work and everybody's wringing their hands and looking at you worried, the most logical conclusion to draw is, I wonder if I'm going to get fired. Oh, who got the 5 seed? I'm not even in the tournament. I'm just the sportscaster. I think it is characterized like as an NI. I wait for everything to collapse. I fixate on things until a sudden moment it all makes sense. Yeah, that's NI. You get the whole all at once. The TEFI put the system for community, individual, and logic, but takes into consideration the individual, while FETI puts the community for the rest, for values, logic. No, absolutely not. TEFI puts the solution or the outcome before the universal. That is to say, normally we might build it this way, but I want it to have this funny look, so I'm building it this way. That's good TE, because I'm aware of what I want, my FI, and how to get it, TE. And I'm not worried at all in either of those instances about whether it's universal or generalizable. One of those aspects is I'm not worried what other people think about it. With FETI, FE goes, no, it needs to look just like this, like the one I saw on Pinterest, okay? And TI goes, oh, well, I don't care, that's fine, whatever. That's when you're talking about something like a decoration. But if you're talking about a recommendation for a policy advocacy, for example, TE will say, well, is it effective? FI will say, is it consistent with what I feel should be the case? Like, but we've got to do something. We've got to give those poor people some kind of money. And to you'll go, well, what's the least harmful way we can do this so that it has the least market distortion and maybe actually it even helps a little bit in some way? Well, we should do direct wealth transfer because they cite a bunch of evidence like that, right? And TI goes, we shouldn't do this at all. It's inconsistent with our values and other things, and it's stupid. And FE goes, I'm going with TI, I think. Guys, should I? And looks around and sees what the consensus is and kind of says, well, most people seem to think something other than you, Eric, so I'm going with something else. That's how it works in terms of calculi. Not FE doesn't put the community first. FE is a way of caring about how others perceive you. You're not interested in the community with FE. You're interested in yourself and how they perceive you. So, like my hidden agenda is FE. What does that mean? It means what I really seek in life is attention and affirmation. I want you to think I'm smart, Uganda main DOC. I want you also to think I'm nice and warm and friendly and like me, not just think I'm a dick who condescendingly tells you why you're wrong about shit, which some of those ever tend to do. That's why this idea is like, okay, well, this prioritizes community and this prioritizes, that's bullshit. It's all bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. It's like I'm talking to my brain. Like I talk to myself internally and externally all the time. I talk to myself a lot too. I say we to myself a lot as well. There seems to be at least 3 or 4 of me. One that sort of oversees things and acts like, okay, guys, come on over here. That's like central organizing Eric. Then there's like playful Eric who goes like, I don't really want to do that. And then there's like no nonsense Eric, like, okay, well, if we gotta do it, we gotta do it. Come on, play around, Eric. And often when I'm going someplace or moving from room to room, for example, or again, okay, come on, let's go. Who's let's? What's me and my other me's? I misread it. I thought you were Eric the INTP. I wish. Then I'd be a lot more introverted. Okay. Sounds like Eric was saying SI more easily locates what experiences led the person to acknowledge, so uses memory more consciously than NI. Right. It's attending to memory instead of to pattern recognition. 2 different ways of knowing. And everybody has both implicitly, but you can habitually pay attention to knowing from experience or from knowing without experience, as I say, pattern collapse. It still links to experience, still part of your background knowledge. But it doesn't link to a specific experience so much as the culmination of a bunch of little experiences. Learning over the culmination of your life that this kind of smile indicates mischief, for example, is an NI thing. It's not because one time you realized that a mischievous person had that look, and ever since you noted that, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be something more universal. Okay, can you please answer my question from the CSJ video? I really want to know your thoughts. What's your question? Let me see if I find you. Messy daydreams. You have to ask it again. I don't remember. What a pinhead? Who is a pinhead? Me? You have to ask it again. I don't see it anywhere here. I talk myself through shit too. I encourage myself, come on, Eric, you can do this. You can finish this wood pile thing before you go back on the computer. I know it's boring, but you don't have that much more to go. Just fucking push through. I talk to myself like that all the time. I also am very, very insulting to myself. So if I drop something, or if I'm trying to do something stupid, usually the TE thing, I know I'll carry this kind of wood like all with my arms like this, and I've run into the wall. Oh, I dropped everything. When I do stupid shit, I go, Eric, you fucking moron. You're such a fucking idiot. I sit there and lambaste myself a little bit. But it's not real lambasting like it used to be. I used to genuinely talk to myself like that and say I wanted to die to myself all the time. Shame and anxiety when I was drinking. But now it's more playful. So, yeah, if you give me your question again, a human and her higher self, I will answer it. I just don't know what it is. I told the contractor it'd be okay to build something differently from the plans, which wasted a bunch of dollars to redo. You shouldn't have told him that. You should have said, hey, contractor, you better do it right, or else burn you. I'm burn you with this torch. Well, FE focuses on consensus that either complete opposite, you assume everyone is saying the same thing is wrong. It's not a bad notion either. Thanks for the clarification on what the conversation would be like. Sure. I don't always put them up either. Some of the conversations with people on video, and I don't think it came up very interesting, so I don't put it up. When I was younger at night, I used to just talk to myself for hours and just so many things. When I was a kid and I'd meet up with my friend Paul from down the street, we'd say, okay, what do you want to do? Well, let's chat. Let's talk. That was one of our possible activities we could do. And I always liked that activity a lot. It's not really a real conversation when you're talking to yourself, but it's quite similar. It can be just like it, I can sit here and play 2 characters, myself and some other character, and sort of forget that I'm doing that and be like that person kind of almost. Or like Red, Red's definitely a sassy girl, and she's always trying to throw people in the slammer. When I'm being Red, it's hard to. I start transforming physically into a chicken. if your functions are constantly conflicted, does that mean you're an immature whatever type? Nobody's functions are constantly conflicted, or everybody's are, one of the two. My MBTI are battling again. Logic, no. Ideation, no. Logic, no. And your head explodes. I'm imbalanced. I think I'm too integrated, aware that you're overthinking everything. You're just shitty type, you're just confused, or have other issues. Oh, well, that's not. Oh, I see what you're saying. You're not saying your functions are conflicted, really. You're saying you're having problems, wrestling ontology down into place. That's perfectly normal. Everybody has trouble wrestling their ontology down into place. Too integrated, aware, overthinking everything. Those are typically introvert problems. Shitty type, that's usually an ESFP problem. Confused, other issues. For people who have overthinking issues in general, and I could certainly classify myself as one, I think that the best solution is go do non-thinking labor. Go move wood piles. Go hang shit up on the wall. Go, dig a hole or something. It grounds us and it returns us to so for me, it returns me to an SI frame where I go, okay, I've only got so much physical energy. I'm going to tire out here. I start thinking about how much energy I'm going to need for later, what I'm going to do later, stuff like that. I start being more SI, paying attention to my progression of body through the day. Do you think being an ENTP is one of the unluckier types? Usually. I think a very high percentage of ENTPs don't make it, quote unquote. They never figure it out. They never find what it is they want to do and do it. And they get stuck in drugs, or they get stuck in bitterness, carry a chip, like zero entropy. Makes me think about that question a lot. He's a smart guy, very, very articulate, pretty textbook ENTP, and clearly carrying a chip. So I think it is an unlucky type to be for most people. It didn't turn out that way for me, but I've been very coddled and spoiled my whole life, as an ENTP should be. I'm lucky. I'm just incredibly lucky. I've had my difficulties, my challenges and stuff, but at the end of the day, well, I used to carry around with me this little saying that I'd say to people. If I do something that was kind of like, what are you doing? I go, don't worry, none of my actions have any consequences. I liked the idea that they didn't, and I'd say that a lot, and yeah, of course they do now. The more I grew, the more I realized there were consequences, and the more consequences actually happened. Because it's like when no serious bad consequence seems to happen to me. Some weird magical thing will happen that'll obviate something that should have been bad, For example being when I got five grand from the city of Pomona when I really needed $5,000 right then. And there it is in my hand, Really strange. Like, the timing just really makes you think about the slabs. Hey, Eric, we're naturally good at freestyle rap. Who? You, Rinlin, and your sister Shenben? Just think about it. Yeah, that makes sense. 13 is typically unlucky. Does that mean 12 plus 1 and 11 plus 2 and 10 plus 3 and 5 plus 8 and things like that are also unlucky? Well, your first premise is the part of that I would have a problem with. 13 is typically unlucky. It's typically thought of as an unlucky number or referenced as an example of unlucky numbers, but I think very few people probably believe in unlucky numbers. So half of it is due to introversion, and the second due part due to an extroverted type. See, that's a contradiction in itself. My poor head. Half of it is one. I don't know. I realized very young. When you're young, you have essentially no responsibilities. When I got older, that would change. That's why I tried to do whatever I wanted. Did you smoke crayons in KG? YOLO. Let me inform you, it stands for You Only Live Once. Better go out there and do your thing. Nah, I never got that crazy. Sure, I killed a man one time for biting his nails. And I did kill another man one time for whistling with his nose when he breathed. That's why they call him a mad biscuit. Not gentle biscuit, not sane biscuit, not non-killing biscuit, but mad biscuit. Hell, once I killed a man because he was standing near a horsefly. And the horsefly was able to evade my shot. So out of frustration, I killed him. Doesn't make me bad. It makes me a mad biscuit. Sometimes when I'm undisciplined, I pray to whatever God exists. I'm not religious, so I say, whichever one of you God exists. I say, give me a heart attack if I don't get this out of do X. You're trying to ask God to play along with your extorting yourself scheme. Isn't NE and FI conflicted? Oh yeah, they're conflicted. That's what you mean by conflicted. Sure. Meaning they have different native aspects. NE wants to act on a metaphysical scale, metaphysical domain, and FI wants to deliberate or validate in a physical domain. So they are conflicted in their aspects, but that doesn't mean they're necessarily running in conflict with each other. In fact, NE, FI coordinate just fine. It's just they coordinate by a different deliberative manner than I do. No such thing as ambiverts. No such thing as ambiverts. No such thing as ambiverts, and no such thing as ambiverts. Ow, this camera hurts, but there's no such thing as ambiverts. Also, overthinking. Overthinking is a product of not being able to see how things will most likely result. If you don't know how it will result, you'll freak out at the possibilities. Well, that's assuming you have a somewhat tenuous relationship with extroverted intuition. One thing I've noticed being with Kimberly is that the one huge factor of extroverted intuition is knowing when not to try to work out possibilities, because there are too many and it's not a good idea right there. So you work out possibilities like, well, it could be one of these sort of things. You don't try to work out, well, if it's this one of these sort of things, then this. And if it's this sort of, that's too much. Knowing when to stop possibilitying out and where the boundaries of any should explore to, and before switching into some other revelatory attentional approach. Well, that's part of NE too, is knowing when to stop. Like knowing when thinking about possibilities is not productive. I never do that. I never freak out at not knowing how something will result, because I've ideated out 3 possible sets of results and several possible approaches and some sense of how I might link one of those to one of those sets. That's good enough. My NE, I can count on it to produce in the moment the rest. I think you can be one externally, sir. Can I have some more porridge? But in terms of your predisposition, you're one or the other. Mad Biscuit, when did you turn into a British orphan? I told you not to kill your parents. Did you do that anyway? Well, you're wrong, Mad Biscuit. You're wrong as hell. Yeah, you could be. You can certainly display as extroverted. Predisposition. What do you mean by that? Am I introverted because I actually do spend probably more of the day working in isolation than anything else, despite the fact that viewers and others who interact with me, I'm always on a live stream or they see a video that I put out or whatever, and they think, "Wow, this guy's super extroverted." I think of myself super extroverted. It doesn't change the fact that when allowed to make choices freely, it's exactly what I want to do. I'm going to choose a large chunk of my day to work silently in isolation. I don't think that's a good way to define extroversion and introversion, Renlin. This energized, drained thing. It doesn't work that way because you got extroverted action people like SE and NE who are going to seem the most extroverted, and then extroverted interface types who are going to seem less extroverted. Especially a TE dom is going to seem less extroverted because the extroversion isn't about people; it's about systems outside of people. But can't you just copy it here, a human? Can you copy and paste it? I mean, I don't want to go look for it. When do ENTPs use NI and INFJs use NE? All the time. You know, it's going to be in context where it's appropriate. Like making videos together. INFJs will use NE when making videos with an ENTP, and ENTPs will use NI. We're going to validate stuff on each other's attentional manner. And it's ignoring, but perfectly capable. I have to be capable of knowing what the singularity is in order to deviate from it. They have to be capable of knowing what possibilities are in order to collapse them down into a singularity. Okay, let's see. Next question. What if you're looking for the ultimate NI solution to everything, but you need to go through a billion different NE possibilities to get there, but essentially that's your goal? Then you're an NE user. That's how NE users usually get to NI, is by putting out a bunch of possibilities and ignoring, as they're putting them out, which ones are gold and which ones are silver and which ones are dirt. And then after they got them all out, then looking at them going, oh, wait, actually, there is a gold one right there. Look at that. That one's gold. That's throw the rest of them away. You did ask again? It says, I messaged you on the CS Joseph. You just said that again. That's not asking me again. That's just saying that you're referencing it again. That's not the same as asking it again. You've referenced it twice, but oh, here. I see it. Never mind. My bad. AHHHS. It's super long, but do you see MBTI self-improvement and mainly understanding? You think it's counterintuitive to work on fair and fair? Yeah, absolutely. I think that's counterintuitive. I think it's a bad idea to try to strengthen your inferior function or your seventh function or your eighth, whatever. I think it's silly because it is a good idea to try to become more in tune with them in some way, to make them, when they do pop out, to make your relationship with them more comfortable and more meaningful. I think it's very important that I spend a certain amount of time on the on FI, a certain amount of time feeling things. But when I do, it also really tires me out. If I have an emotional period of time, I will go lie down, take a nap. But I still think it's important for me to have some time with my feelings. And when I do, I have a pleasant experience with it because I'm not encumbered with them. I don't try to work on my feelings, my introverted feeling. I know that if I were to pay too much attention to it, it would always lead me astray because I don't understand it well. There's no reason to work on it. As far as things you can work on, the only thing I think I try to work on actively is TE. And I am getting a little bit better at impersonating TE, but it's not because really my TE is improving. It's because I'm developing better heuristics or workarounds to imitate it and avoid actually using it in some sense. So what do I think it's about? Cognitive functions? I think they're about metaing up, being a more informed self, about liberating yourself from your reflexes and liberating yourself from reflexively understanding other people, such that you have a lexicon or a scaffolding of reasoning to use that necessitates you'll start to have labels and names and understanding for things that people do. Oh, well, she's just effing, or wow, that's really FI, or you start to have those kind of terms come into your everyday experience as you're dealing with things, and it enables you to have a more a much more powerful utilization of NI, for example. If you're an NI user and you have cognitive functions in your repertoire, then you're going to clap shit down to understanding people in terms of their pattern recognition as it relates to cognitive functions, and that's going to be very informative. Do I think it's for self-growth? I think that you cannot help but grow if you know about it, if you didn't know about it before, because of all the things I just said. Do I think it should be something that you use to go, okay, well, this will help me find the recipe for my self-growth? Only insofar as it's going to help you find the recipe for what you should not be doing, most of all. Like, recognize that everybody's going to be telling you from their own cognitive function bias some sort of aphorism. As I said on a stream yesterday or sometime recently, imagine how many times ENFJs have told like an ISFJ as a piece of advice, you've got to stop living in the past. Well, of course the ENFJ is going to say that. Of course an ENTJ is going to say that. Why? Because they've got polar SI. But for an SI Dom, they really think of themselves as being comprised of their past. So it's always bad advice. It may be great advice for the ENFJ, but it's just an expression of their cognitive function bias. If I say, look, you just got to let go, relax, and just go with your first feelings and your thoughts and just roll with it. You'll be fine. Just improvise. It'll be great. No problem. Just come on the video with me. I'll just leave you lots of space and you just talk. It'll be no problem. Of course, you'll be easily able to do that. Things will pop up. You'll just think of things. Don't worry about it. Well, that's me I'm talking about. It's not you. That's easy for me. It might not be easy for you, right? So that's going to happen all the time when you get advice from people, or especially if there's general advice. Here's what people need to do. And it's not accounting for cognitive function differences. Well, then people are just like not having any awareness when they're saying things. So one piece of awareness it'll give you if you do it, and one piece of growth is you will cease to presume quite so much that you know best. That's very NI of you, LJ. But there are particular experiences that link to the weight of things to you, and SI Dom just don't see it that way. Okay, I'm gonna have to end this live stream now, mostly because I really have to poop. But what's your name? You Batman? I'm Batman. You suck. After I'm done pooping, I'm going to come back here and go to Facebook. And if you still want to make that video, we'll make it right now before I go deal with my mom. All right. Thanks for being here, everybody. And I hope that was an interesting live stream. And I'll be thinking of all of you while I poop right now. Okay. You'll be in my heart, in the dampest, tenderest, moistest part of my heart while I'm pooping. All of you will be. It's a lot of you in my, it's a lot to fit in my heart, but it's okay.